Welcome to Embrace Your Uniqueness Podcast.
My name is Timna, AKA Life as a Maven. I am an entrepreneur, mama, corporate, boss woman, and lover of life. Life as a Maven started from, my husband was like, why don't you start a blog? Why don't you write about your experience on a website? And at the time, I thought that was a little ridiculous because I'm not a great writer, or so I thought.
Welcome to Embrace Your Uniqueness Podcast. Thank you so much for being here, Timna. For those that don't know you, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. So my name is Timna, AKA Life as a Maven. I am an entrepreneur, mama, corporate, boss woman, and lover of life.
Great. That's a perfect introduction. Lover of life, boss woman, entrepreneur. I mean, it's wonderful. So talking about your business, your blog.
Yes.
Life as a Maven. It's a blog that focuses on small businesses, lifestyle, fashion. What inspired the creation of that blog? And what would you say is the purpose of the blog?
Sure. So Life as a Maven started from me just posting reviews online on a very well-known app called Yelp. And
we know Yelp.
Yep. And I would put long reviews, but it wasn't going anywhere, right? You know, I was writing about my experiences. I was writing about, you know, how great the business was or the food, but I wasn't reaching that audience, right? That, you know, those kinds of things we would want to read. And my husband was like, why don't you start a blog? Why don't you write about your experience on a website? And at the time, I thought that was a little ridiculous because I'm not a great writer, or so I thought. And but I did it. I jumped in and I wrote my first blog post in 2014, and that kicked it off.
What you just described actually reminds me of something that I like to say a lot of times, that our purpose in our life changes, and we don't have to go searching for it. Right. It finds us, because you just explained you were writing reviews on Yelp. So it wasn't even like you planned at the beginning that you were going to start a blog.
Right.
But it just so happened that as you were doing something which came natural to you, then the inspiration to start the blog came around. Something that happens a lot of times when we try to start something new, be it something, a passion or a business or anything, is there's a lot of challenges with starting anything new. Yeah. And how would you say you were able to overcome those first challenges, and even the ones that you're still finding right now?
That's a great question. I think for me, the first thing was overcoming that idea that I was not a good writer.
Wow.
So, but, you know, I'm not a novelist. I don't write books. I don't have a background in that. But I find myself as someone who writes from the heart. So when I go somewhere and I'm trying to share someone's experiences, that's what I'm writing about. I'm not trying to be grammatically correct, or I'm almost writing how I would talk about it to someone. When I talk to people and tell them, hey, go check out my blog, they're not going there to see a novel from, I don't know, some great author, right? They're going to see a very passionate description of what I just experienced, so that they can experience it vicariously through me. And I had to get over that idea that just because I didn't train in that I wasn't good enough to write about my experiences. I was already doing it, right? It was more of getting over that, oh, I have an official website, I have an official blog, and I have to be perfect. And I'm sure if I went back to that blog post about a coffee shop in Lowell back in 2014, I would see so many things that are different than the way I write now. But you grow, you evolve, and that is incredibly important when you think about what you're doing and how you're writing about these things for people to understand.
One of the things that I really get from what you're saying right now is challenging your fears with facts will help you overcome those initial fears. And in your case, the fact was this is something that I love, that I'm writing, and I'm writing from a place of passion.
Yes.
And the target audience is people who are also going to be reading from a place of passion.
Right, exactly.
And no, you're not a trained writer, but that's not the purpose of the blog.
Yeah.
So fear was telling you shouldn't do it because you're not a trained writer, but the reality was it has nothing to do with it.
Exactly.
So you were able to challenge that with the reality that you knew. And I think overall, even like everybody always has that. Yeah. Those moments where you have fear telling you something that isn't true. For sure. And sometimes if you let yourself believe it, then you never dive into something you were supposed to dive.
Yeah, I mean, you can't really allow yourself to grow if you don't fail first. And failing doesn't always have to be a negative thing, right? Failing can mean doing something and realizing, oh, I could just do this better. That could be failing. Whereas we look at failure in today's world and it's like the end all, right? But you fail, you pick yourself back up again, you learn from that previous failure, and you get better, and you evolve, and you continue to grow, and you become the life as a maven that I am today.
Just like, I mean, a good example of what you just said is redefining failure for yourself is going to remove the fear of failure from your life. When I started this podcast, I mean, even this episode, this is the second time we're taping this.
Right.
Because something happened the first time. And so things happen. And you just learn from the things that happen and then get better. Yeah. And that is not failure, that is growth. The only failure that should be in your vocabulary is the fear of not trying at all. If you succumb to that, that is failure. Yeah. But that you tried something and that it didn't work out the way you planned, or it didn't work out at all. Yes. Glory be to God, because you tried.
Exactly.
Oh, wow. So a lot of people want to start blogs.
Sure.
Just like, I mean, you have different types of creative avenues now. You have YouTube, you have blogs, social media, just different types.
Right, exactly.
What would you tell to someone who is thinking of starting a blog, be it in your niche or something different, that has so many questions and just so many obstacles to it right now?
Sure. I mean, I think the first obstacle is overcoming what you're going to choose to do. So before you do anything in life, you got to figure out, I'm going to go this direction. I'm going to do it this way. And if it doesn't work out that way, I'm willing to try a different way. I say the same thing applies to when you want to start a blog, a website, a small business. I mean, you're becoming an entrepreneur. So, number one, it has to be something you're passionate about. You can't write about something that you're not going to look forward to writing about or experiencing yourself. Because how will you write about something that you don't truly enjoy for other people to enjoy?
Word.
So that's number one, and that's a big number one. Number two, there are so many resources available. And I would say whatever you do, pick one or two avenues, and that's it. Focus on that one or two avenues. So if it's Instagram and Facebook, focus on Instagram and Facebook. Okay. If it's YouTube, focus on YouTube and maybe a website portion of it. Okay. You want to make sure that your attention isn't taken by 8 different things, because then you're not going to be able to provide the kind of content that you want to provide for your viewership, right? And then number 3, I would say, is there's going to be ups and downs. So make sure that going into it, you have the state of mind that allows you to be cool with that. Hey, today was a great day. I wrote this. 500 people saw it. Awesome. The next day, 50 people saw it. That's okay too, because that's 50 new people. It might not be hundreds, but it's 50 new people. And that's what you got to focus on, is there's going to be good and bad.
So what I'm hearing from you is start small, focus on the positives, don't let the negatives discourage you, because yes, you may post something today and you don't get the views that you wish you got, but it's okay. And do not embark in too many avenues at the same time.
Yes.
Starts with what you can handle, just so that you don't get like thrown off balance by trying to keep up with all of them. I think that's great advice.
Yeah.
That's honestly great advice. One of the things you focus on is small businesses. Mm-hmm. What made you passionate about that?
So small businesses to me means community, because when you think of a small business, it's an individual or a small group of individuals that start that small business. And those individuals make up a part of a greater community. And all of the small businesses together, therefore, create our community around us. So when you're putting money into your neighbor's pocket or your friend's father's pocket or whatever that might be, it's, in my opinion, better than a corporation that doesn't care who you are, doesn't see you, doesn't know you, doesn't try to have a conversation with you when you walk into the store.
Yeah.
So it was that, and also I felt like I could share something that wasn't being shared the way I was doing it. So when I walk into a restaurant that there's only one of its kind, I am sharing with the people who follow me my experience, what kind of food it is, the people behind it, and it creates this story. And that story is what attracts people, because they want to experience that, whether they're here and they can experience it themselves, or they're a couple states away and maybe the next time they visit, they're like, I gotta try that because Life as a Maven said that is a really cool place to check out and the owners seem cool. So it was about creating that connection between the community and the people that it serves. And I feel so passionate, even 8 or 9 years later, that passion continues. And I have seen so much growth from some of the small businesses and those relationships that have been built. It's just been an amazing experience.
I mean, I've been following you on Instagram and looking at your content, and I know you cover the Boston area the most. Do you have plans of eventually covering at national level and even internationally?
Yeah, I mean, a big part of Life as a Maven is also travel. And so anywhere I travel, whether it be in the United States or if it's internationally, I try to come up with content that still appeals to that community mentality. So if I go to Rhode Island, New York, Michigan, Midwest, wherever, California, I still pick small businesses. I still support local. And I write about the hotels that I stay at, and I create itineraries. So it has already become so much more than Boston, north of Boston. People will now reach out to me, hey, have you been here? Can I get your feedback on how you enjoyed it? Sometimes when I stay at a hotel, I get a DM. Oh, I love that place too. Thank you so much for mentioning it. So there's definitely a nationwide appeal to this that will slowly but surely come.
That's wonderful. I cannot wait for that, because I mean, I love Nigerian food, Italian food, and just, well, food generally, but I have the ones that I love the most. And one of the things that I really hope to eventually see in your blog is like food from other parts of the world that people may not even necessarily know about as much, but is actually great. Because I feel some get more attention than others. For sure. And I can't wait for that part.
I mean, we have something in the books that will hopefully be posted sometime this year. So we'll get it done, and that'll be awesome, an awesome addition to the blog, and I can't wait.
Amen to that. I can't wait for that either. There are other sides to your blog as well. There's the lifestyle and the fashion aspect of it.
Yeah.
So what does fashion mean to you, and what brought that side?
I mean, so my background, I was never really what you would call fashionable. And it wasn't until later in life that I started kind of figuring out my own style and what that meant for me and how I want it to feel. Mm-hmm. Because I think no matter who you are, what you look like, whatever you wear, you want it to be an extension of yourself.
Yeah.
And who you are as a person. So your style doesn't have to fit trends. It doesn't have to fit what the world thinks it should be. It can be totally you. And what I love about style is that one day, for me anyway, one day I can dress super girly and feminine and go all out. And then the next day I'm wearing streetwear, and that's cool for me because that's how I like to be, right? And I found that on the style side of things, I can share that, and people enjoy it. And I'm really trying to grow that side of it because I think it's important to share that it's okay to be yourself. And you don't have to follow the lead of anybody else. And then to pivot, it's been very important as a new mom to find and be okay in this new self that I have, and finding style that is still cool with who I am as a mom, and not changing myself too much, but going with the ebb and flow and understanding that, hey, bodies change and that's okay too.
So yeah, I absolutely relate to the fashion aspect, because even for me, fashion has meant different things over the years, because I've definitely evolved. Sure. I like modest dressing, and not because I have anything against any other type of dressing, but I think it's just, it has to do with me, my upbringing. It's just something that became a part of me. So I think when I was trying to develop my own style, it was sometimes hard, because it's like you're looking at blogs, you're looking at so many places, and you're trying to figure out something that works for you, works for your body, but also works for what you're looking for. Yeah, exactly. It's like you don't want to do something that you don't feel comfortable in. You don't want to wear something that is not you. So I like the idea of like style being a personal thing. You can be fashionable, but still be yourself. You don't have to dress in a way that does not represent you. So I definitely hear you on that.
Yes.
Circling back to motherhood.
Okay.
So a lot of women, I've heard this in interviews and in videos, blogs, when they become mothers, they tend to lose a part of them. It's like the part that wants to really be career focused, still do the things they like blogging and things like that.
Absolutely.
And I heard, I don't know, I'm not a mother yet. I heard that it almost, you have to go out of your way to keep those parts of your life intact. Because if not, it's almost like, boom, once you become a mother, bye-bye to everything else. How do you tackle that?
First, I want to say thank you for bringing that up. I'm actually in and I'll be totally honest, in a very vulnerable part of postpartum right now, because who I am as a person is very much who the Maven is. I am outgoing. I like to be out and about all the time. I like to be with people. I like to drop everything and let's go on an adventure. When you become a mother, you can't do that. You can't drop everything. You can't just walk out the door. You have to transition into a place that is a caretaker now. There's this vulnerable little human that is now in your life, and you have to put all of your attention and love into that. But you can't lose a sight of yourself, because you are able to give the most love and the most attention when you give that love and attention to yourself. And I have had a long journey. It doesn't seem long because it's been 5 months, but it has been a long journey because every day feels like a month, and I'm still learning, and I'm still trying to figure it out. And some days are better than others. But one thing I know is when I take him out with me, that's keeping a part of myself alive. Whether he was 2 weeks old or whether he's 5 months old now, it was very much a part of keeping who I am intact, and being a career-driven woman. that is also a part of myself that I have had to adapt quite a bit. What do I need to do to keep that, to continue to grow, to continue to learn? So it's been a learning process, and I've had a lot of help from some amazing mothers, and it's okay to not have the answers all the time. It's okay to reach out for help. It's okay to talk to someone. Those are all things that I've learned in this 5 very short months of being a mother. And I'm still learning. So I think it's very true what you said. A lot of women do lose themselves, but I think there's always a path back. And learning to gain traction on that path back forward is a wonderful adventure in and of itself.
Beautifully said. I myself have and I have this thinking in my mind, I'm like, I like the word you use, transition. Because it's like, some things are going to change. It's not going to stay the same, but it's a transition into something else, another phase.
Right.
And I also love what you said about loving yourself is part of what you need to do to be able to love others. Mm-hmm. So losing yourself doesn't help you as a mother.
Right.
But loving yourself does.
Yes.
And that is it's a beautiful thing. And I really hope that mothers and aspiring mothers that are listening to us today, I really hope that resonates with them.
Absolutely.
So something else that I sometimes wonder, you know how people say, follow your passion, especially if you have a 9-to-5, and your 9-to-5 may not necessarily be under what you would call your passion. Sure. I know that you do have a career aside from your blog.
Yes.
What do you say to that, and how do you balance it? And would you tell someone who is thinking of living their 9-to-5 to start their passion to go ahead and do it?
Oh, that's a loaded question, because I myself haven't done it. And I'm very big on making sure that there's stability. I'm not one of those people that, and you can agree or disagree, I'm not one of those people that will drop everything for my passion. And I say that because if I'm not stable as an individual, as a person, a woman, a mother, I cannot do the things I love to do because I don't have the feasibility to do so. So I'm also blessed because I love my career and I love what I do in my 9-to-5. And it translates very well because I also share life as a maven with them. And they love that, and it's become this whole thing, right? But I would tell anyone who wants to follow their heart, their passion, absolutely do so. But have a backup plan. Have stability in your life. Have something that, just in case, you can always fall back on, and always have a plan, because that will make sure that you might just have a little less stress in your life. And I'm always big about being as stress-free as possible.
I agree. I think that you can have a passion and you can still have other things that you're doing.
Absolutely. You
can be into different businesses. Yes. You can have a 9-to-5. You can still do your passion. Not to say that if someone finds themselves in a position that whatever is their passion at that time is doing well enough for it to be their only career. Absolutely. And so they decide that that's what they want to do. Sure. For me, it's okay, great, do it.
Yeah.
But if you are growing as an individual, growing in your profession, you are not stable yet. So you mentioned stability. You haven't been able to achieve financial stability.
Yes.
Honestly, follow your passion, but also make sure that you achieve that financial stability. Yeah. I really am a big proponent of that.
Yes.
I do not believe in spending 20 years not being able to do something for yourself and blaming it on, well, I'm following my passion.
Sure.
There's nothing wrong with following your passion, but you can also be responsible and do what you need to do for yourself. So that's why I asked, and I definitely agree with what you said. Coming to where we are now with your blog, where do you see life as a maven in 10 years from now?
Yeah, 10 years is a long time, I feel like, but...
If you feel like 5 years from now is better?
No, I think 10 years it's good. There's a lot of planning, lots of growing. Well, I think in the 8 years that I've been around, I have monetized the last 3 years.
Oh.
And I have become a 5-figure business, and I would hope by year... what would that be? 8 of monetizing, which would be 5 years from now. I could be a 6-figure business.
Amen. I speak that into existence.
And then by year 10, honestly, just growing and learning, evolving, and continue to grow. Perhaps delve into other aspects of it. Work with others, hire someone. I think that could happen a little earlier, but there's just so much you can do. There's so much you can grow, and I definitely see myself, in the next 10 years, making it a big part of my life as it already is.
That's great. You mentioned monetizing. For those that may not know how to monetize a blog, how do you do that?
I mean, there's different ways. I think with me, because I focus primarily with small businesses, I work with tourism boards, I work with cities, and they generally will get, grant money to work with the small businesses and to do initiatives. And I've been able to do several large digital marketing campaigns, and that ability to do that comes from creating content on a consistent basis and then seeing how people engage and how I am in the community. Now, there are different ways that you could monetize a blog specifically, whether it's ad space, whether it's focusing on SEO, search engine optimization, working with big brands, working with small brands that pay you to post. So there's lots of different avenues. And then once your viewership goes up quite a bit, people will start reaching out to you more and more. But I'm always, I think it's important to also pitch yourself to the organizations that you want to work with. So if you want to work with a tourism board of a different state, pitch them. They all have press and media outlets, and you send them a note. You say, this is what I want to do. I'd love to work with you. Out of 10 emails, you might get one yes, but that's one yes that is in your benefit and is putting money in your pocket. So you just keep trying and you keep growing.
So one of the things that I'm getting from this is consistency. Reaching out to the people you want to work with. So don't just wait on people, but actually reach out.
Yes.
How does one increase their viewership? Because I know viewership is part of what will make you eligible to certain projects.
You have to put out consistent content, and by consistency, I mean if it's once a week, that's fine, but it has to be once every single week. If it's 3 times a week, great, but it has to be 3 times every single week. And then making sure that if your content is doing well, see what is making it do well. So look at your analytics. Look at, what people, how they're engaging. If you put out, for example, a reel on Instagram and it gets 20,000 views, what was it about that reel that did so well? Look at the different things, test it out again, see if it does well again. So there's, all these kind of tricks you got to learn. There's algorithms, of course, but consistency is always the key. It is always important to stay consistent, and you can even ask your followers, hey, what do you want to see from me? You never know what you're going to get. Sometimes they give you some really good ideas, and you can utilize that for content. So just, I would say, be consistent, engage with your following, and grow. Be okay to learn from mistakes and just keep growing.
That's really good advice. I myself am going to take some of those tips for my podcast as well. Wow, this has been really great, and it's been a lot of good insight into blogging and just venturing into new things.
Sure.
And what would you want to say to aspiring bloggers right now as a last message to your community that has been following you and supporting you all these years? What is your message to them?
First to the people who follow me and who love what I do, thank you, because without them I wouldn't be the Maven. And for anyone who's aspiring to do something like this or go out on their own path, just do it. There's literally nothing wrong with just saying one day, you know what, I'm going to try this out. And if it works, it works. If it doesn't, there's always something else you can do, literally. So I would just say, go for it, jump into it, feel the waters, all of the things, and just enjoy it while you're at it.
And that's it. That's it for today. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for your kind words, and cheers to the Maven.
Cheers. Thank you.